Hello, this is Stockhert. I'm here at DigitalHealth Summit Studio with Stockhert from Health 2047.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. So tell us a little bit more about the 2047.
So 2047 specifically happens to be the 200-year anniversary of the American Medical Association. So back in 1847, the American Medical Association was founded to really help bring some sense out of the noise in medical practice. So basically help determine who's a doc and what was snake oil. And that was in 1847, and over the course of the last 160 plus years, they've done a lot of different things, from play a role in some of the payment architecture to having one of the most reputable journals on content. But what they didn't have was a bridge to actually innovation. And so they realized what they needed to do to be relevant in the next half a century and to help shape and make sense out of all the wealth of explosion of innovation in healthcare now is to do the same thing they did in 1847. Let's bring our products and our innovation and our thoughts to bear to help make sense of what's happening in the market, help the entrepreneurs and the technologists design more impactful solutions for the healthcare system with the eye on what should the healthcare system look like in 2047.
Wow, that's a very much ambitious and interesting goal. I think that's very much needed. How are you guys thinking about accomplishing this? Like, what is the actual, I guess, on-the-ground approach?
So how that manifests itself in the execution of the day-to-day is first related to who funds Health 2047. So there's an anchor investment from the American Medical Association with the idea of building out, and we're in this process, the full operating fund, which is a collection of investments from leading companies in healthcare, but as well as outside of healthcare. Almost creating a safe ecosystem space for everybody to design what the future of clinical trials should look like. So rather than what IBM Watson was talking about optimizing the current system, what should it actually look like? It'd be great if we could run clinical trials on patients with comorbidities. We just don't do that today. Mm-hmm. What would the systems need to be to protect patients, to enable the drug developers and innovators, and to pay for those innovations in a timely manner? What does that need to look like? And the reality is that you can't do that if you're just a product company, or if you're just a payer, or if you're just a provider. And so the idea is bring them together. So the funding helps support that, and the larger projects that we'll work on will be collaborations between those investment partners. We'll also work on collaborations with growth stage companies in the market. So if you believe the hypothesis that the physician voice is important across the spectrum, then there's a lot of great companies in the market today that would benefit from having a touch point and engagement either on a regulatory front or on an expertise front from the AMA and the physician voice. And then the final thing we'll do is we will do some early stage ideation and seed investment, but that's not the primary focus of the enterprise.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, because I think a lot of people in healthcare, a lot of the companies in healthcare are having trouble getting traction because there's not just one stakeholder they have to sell to, but multiple stakeholders.
Exactly right. And so whether that's you're selling into a self-insured employer, and so you're having to sell to the HR department before you even reach a consumer, and then you have to make sure your product is consumer ready, or you're designing a really innovative product but just doesn't have clinical utility. So, you know, my latest example is someone innovating with Wi-Fi enabled crutches, which sounds interesting and cool until you ask the question, what's the clinical utility of it? And what you really want to know is, well, is there a feedback loop that informs some sort of clinical decision that helps people post-knee surgery walk sooner? Now all of a sudden I care about Wi-Fi enabled crutches. Mm-hmm. And I think the hard part that you're seeing in the market is you do have a bunch of solutions that are trying to solve problems, but they aren't quite sure what problems they're trying to solve. And then you have the physician side of the world, which is facing a whole bunch of problems and says we need solutions, and there's just not a communication between the two of those. And so we're striving to help bridge that gap.
That's a very good goal. So what makes you excited about 2016 in healthcare?
So what makes me excited about the next 2016 as well as the next 20 years in healthcare is really the explosion of investment, focus, and ideas that have been coming into this space. So although my last example speaks to like who cares about Wi-Fi enabled crutches, I think the reality that there's people out there trying to think thoughtfully, critically, and that capital is going behind those enterprises is really exciting. I think if all we have to solve is make sure we're working on the right problems, that's a good thing. It'd be a different challenge if we had all the right problems to work on and no capital or no means to fix it. it's such a present conversation in everyone's mind that we can't keep paying what we're paying. We can't keep having the challenges we have in chronic disease and overall population health that we have. We have to lower the overall spend per individual in comparison to other OECD countries. And so you think about those challenges, it's really exciting to be here now where you're seeing the explosion of investment and people interested in trying to change that.
Well, thank you, Jack. And this is Stockhert coming to you from Digital Health Summit Studio.